All right, good evening, VV Nation. My name is Ryan, and as always, welcome to the channel. Now, if you're new to this channel and you do like tonight's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that way you can get alerted in the future. Now, tonight's presentation, at no surprise, we're going to talk about defense. We're going to talk about oil, and we're going to talk about shipping stocks. That's right. With escalations in the Red Sea actually on the rise right now, we've all seen in the news lately of the ships being attacked and a potential bombing campaign in Yemen itself. So we're going to dive into a couple articles, and then we're going to jump into the VectorVest 7 software and see how we can place our position to potentially make money and hedge a geopolitical conflict. Now, this being said, with the MTI so high right now, I'm more bearish on the market than bullish at the moment. But with the rise of these geopolitical concerns, I do see certain segments of the economy holding up during this time. So let's go ahead and jump in. Now, the first article is going to dive right into the Red Sea escalations itself and focus on Yemen. Now, as we all know, there's three fronts going on right now, that being both Ukraine and Russia, the Taiwan-Chinese conflict, and in addition, escalations rising in the Middle East since the Hamas attacks on Israel. Now, we can see here Europe stands divided on a US-led bombing campaign of Yemen itself. Now, my biggest fear is that this is not going to be contained to just Yemen, as we're all finding out that these rebel groups are financed by Iran. And that's the big news that I'm really waiting to see what escalates here, because if this conflict does escalate to Iran itself, I do see defense stocks being a great place to be. In addition, at no surprise, I would be much more bullish on oil. Now, in the next article here, if you've been watching my shorts, following the Red Sea crisis, I haven't been that bullish on oil, and I've said it several times that I will not be bullish on oil until it actually affects the supply chain, which, if we look at the article right here, we're seeing that toll starting to play out. So we can see that Shell halts all Red Sea shipments as tensions rise. And they're not alone to do this. I just saw an article that Qatar has actually suspended all of its export shipments through the Red Sea. So I do see a lot of supply chain issues starting to stack up on each other, which gives me a better feeling to start potentially looking at oil to play. Now, not just oil and natural gas, but through the Red Sea, which is connected to the Suez Canal, is one of the most vital shipping routes in the world. Thus, with all this being said, this is why I want to focus on defense stocks, shipping companies, and oil itself. Now, first up will probably be the hottest topic of this evening, and that's gonna be oil or petroleum. Now, the graph right behind me, I do have the sector graph of petroleum. So this is tracking all of the stocks within the VectorVest 7 software. Now, as much as I like relying on news to get into positions, I really like the charts. So the first thing I do want to point out here is look at our valuation here, this green line. So oil is currently undervalued. However, to get a different perspective, let's change this to a 6-month time frame. And you see how oil was greatly valued here. We see price action rising, value on the decline, met right here in the middle, right at the high for this space. However, the value continues to keep dropping, which is a major concern I have at this time. In addition to that, if I zoom back into a 3-month time span, we can see down below here the growth rate in earnings has been on the decline for quite some time here, falling down to 7%. In addition, our forecasted earnings, our EPS here, also on the decline, starting around $3.40. However, to finish today at just $3. Now I'm gonna go ahead and remove these two items. This way we can just focus on price action here. We can see petroleum itself, price action, trending lower over the past several months here. You can see my clear downward trend line. So the first optimism I would like to look for to see price action break this downward trend line, at least get a close or two above it, on a good volume day to show conviction. Also, if we notice below here, right at the low of price, I do have the price here. You can see it's relatively flat. However, look at RT relative timing. We do see RT higher than it was back in early December when price action hit a low along with RT. So this looks like it could potentially create a bullish diversion between RT and price action. So definitely keep your eyes on that as we move forward with price action in this space. Now, as we focus on price action here, we can see price action really started to lose momentum here. By the end of October, you can see RT actually slipping in unfavorable territory, letting us know that the short-term price trend is no longer favorable. So a key level I'm looking at right now is right at the 4-month low here at $3.72. If I go back to a year, the only other support we have as of recent time comes in at 28.66. So you can see price action right now flirting with this level of support. So if we don't see any bullish momentum soon, we could see price action drop all the way down to 28.66. giving us about another 10% downside action. Therefore, in a bullish case scenario, I'd like to see price action find support here real soon. In addition, break above this level forward at 327, which that break above 32.27 would put us above that downward trend line that I had on the graph before. So that all being said, Petroleum, I do like this space and I do see the potential with it, especially with the rise in these conflicts in the Middle East. But right now it's just too early to tell. And if you do decide to jump in, I'd put tight stops in place just in case those positions go against you. However, we will take a look at some oil stocks here in just a moment. All right, next up on the list here, we have the aerospace and defense sector. You can see price action over the last 12 months here. The breakout really occurred within the last month. You can see it broke this level of support at 74.50. Meeting its current high or current level resistance at 78.05. One thing I really like about this space right now, we had a healthy retracement, it seems. We see some buying pressure here right at this level of support. So as long as price action can continue with a higher swing low, I am bullish in the space here. Now, just a caution, we do see RT relative timing actually slipping back into unfavorable territory. In addition to that, if we look at earnings per share or forecasted earnings, it's pretty flat over the last 12 months here. As well, if we look at the GRT, the growth rate in earnings here is actually down 1% from a growth rate of 8% a year ago to now ending at 7%. So it's still positive, and I feel more confident in the space right now than I am as far as oil, especially with the brand new air bombing campaign going on in Yemen as we speak. So now the last space I did want to show you is going to be the transportation ship industry. Now that being said, we see price action here definitely on the rise over the last 12 months, breaking above this level support at 20.07. Created by this prior swing high here. However, price action has remained above that level. It's a positive note here. If we look at the price trend here, that magnitude of that price trend to the upside right now and growing over the last few weeks. Now, from a forecasted data standpoint, we can see the growth rate and earnings here dropping over the last 12 months. In addition, if we look at the earnings per share, which is a 12-month leading forecast, we did see quite a dip here in 2023. However, in the later half of the year, earnings per share has been on the rise here to actually close higher than it was 12 months ago. So that is a positive sign. And of these three spaces, I do see transportation ship being the most viable one as of right now. But with escalations rising in the Middle East right now, I would definitely not sleep on defense stocks and oil itself. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump in and show you some of my top picks for these industries and sectors. All right, here's the list of stocks and ETFs I have for you this evening. Now, this being said, we are actually getting our first red light in the color guard in several days here, and the major indices are on negative territory. So again, I'm more bearish in the market than I am in bullish. But with the news surrounding the Middle East and some of these geopolitical concerns, these are the spaces I see that have potential to continue to rise. Now, just a quick look at these stocks here. We can see that the VSTs for the most part are all in favorable territory. The only VST below 1 right now is an ETF, IEO, which looks at the oil exploration in the United States. And if we take a look here, all of these stocks currently have buy and hold ratings. Now, as far as the growth rates here, they're all positive. The only two negative ones here are in the shipping industry. So I do just want to give you fair warning of that. As well, if we take a look here, I did order these stocks by RT or relative timing to let us know what is currently working. At no surprise, you're seeing mostly the shipping stocks and ETFs at the top of the list here, while aerospace and defense tends to be in the middle of the pack, with Petroleum leading behind here, with Murphy, Tidewater, and the iShares ETF all in the bottom 3 positions. So just to recap, when it comes to oil, I think we're getting very close, but I just want to see a little bit more confirmation as I discussed when looking at the chart. And on top of that, when it comes to aerospace and defense, I did see a healthy retracement in that graph, finding a level of support. So with the breakout of a new bombing campaign in Yemen, I do see defense stocks potentially going higher in the near future. However, my main focus right now is on the shipping industry. You can see right behind me, these stocks are leading the pack when it comes to this. And I really want to hear your feedback. So let me know in the comment section what you think of these 3 spaces as news develops with these geopolitical concerns. Now, if you enjoyed tonight's presentation, you found it informative to help your portfolio in these uncertain times, make sure you hit that subscribe button so I can keep you updated going into the future. And as always, have a good night.